We're here with our final segment, and we have on set with us the women cross-country classic champion, Cattouse, who is the winner of the 30th running of that race. Good morning, Kaya.
Morning, morning.
And congratulations. I think we have to start there. Seeing what happened on Holy Saturday, we have to start at congratulations first. But I wanted to start off with what winning the race means for you. I was reading a Facebook post from a gentleman who was recounting how star-studded this female cross-country classic was for females. You had a past cross-country champion, you had yourself coming back, you had Shalini returning, and you had a sprinkle of a couple of young up-and-coming stars. And then you had at least one high-flying import who was in the race. What did this mean for you this time to win? Because it's not your first time on the rodeo, but what did this particular win mean for you?
This is my 8th consecutive female cross-country classic and my 10th one overall now. My 3rd win, and I would say it was my best win in the sense that the competition that was in the race was more than it was in the previous years that I've won. The 2 Mexicans that were here made the race a whole lot different than what we're used to female racing in Belize. So it was definitely my best one of the 3.
You say difficult, how so?
Racing with international competition is always difficult, especially on home soil. These young ladies were no pushover. They were very strong cyclists. I've ridden with them before in Mexico, so I know them as well as they know me, and I know their strengths as well as they know mine. So riding 70 miles, you know, head and head against foreigners as well as our strong locals, it's difficult.
What was it like preparing? I know you've given us the wealth of your experience so far in terms of participating, but I'm assuming from year to year there are certain things that you need to adjust in terms of preparing for the upcoming race. What was it like for you this time around?
For a while I've been doing the same things and expecting different results, and
as we would describe as crazy.
My dad would say that's craziness. But for the past year I've been coached by a past cross-country champion and a well-known US ex-professional cyclist, Bill Elliston, who has taken me under his wings in terms of coaching, and we basically changed my entire regime. So my way of cycling has changed, you know. My pacing abilities have improved, as well as my sprint, which I was already known for. So it's been a different style of training, and we're doing things differently. And what I've learned is that every year you have to change something, tweak something a bit. You can't continuously do the same thing and expect to get different results.
In a very dark world, Belize could have been shut out in both male and female because, theoretically, the Mexican was leading and then she took a wrong turn. Am I not right in saying that?
No.
She wasn't?
We were all coming into the city together.
Yes. But surely at the very least there was a mistake made which surely took some energy emotionally and physically from the Mexican, who is a professional, as you have said, she's no one to snort at. And so it could very well have been that they could have had a different outcome.
By you saying that, you're basically saying that if the Mexican didn't go the wrong way, I wouldn't have won.
That's a possibility. You don't accept that as a possibility?
I don't.
Explain why.
I don't accept that.
Yes.
The Mexican went straight instead of making a left at the roundabout of the hand at the corner of Central American Boulevard and the Western Highway.
Yes.
We waited for her on the boulevard. We didn't run away from her. We waited for her. And she was back with us by the roundabout at Mahogany. So by saying that, from Mahogany all the way around the rest of the boulevard onto Princess Margaret Drive, she had enough time. she's not a sprinter. She's not known for sprinting. She's always lost races in sprinting. She's a pacer, and the only way for her to win a race is to come solo. So no, I do not accept that.
That's a very good response, and I'm sure that some people might disagree with you on other scientific reasons. But it's not to take away from your win, but simply to put into perspective how volatile these things are. And I can remember in your interview, you said that you don't necessarily feel completely sorry for her because in other countries that you've been in, the official truck takes you in that direction. And so you've been on the other end of it. But another thing that...
It's not a matter of not feeling sorry for her. But all I'm saying is that we race in Mexico a lot. And going the wrong direction, you can ask any Belizean cyclist who races there. It's a common thing. Our officials didn't intentionally take anybody the wrong way. In fact, coming around the roundabout, we were shouting izquierda. In my knowledge of my Spanish, that means left. That's the way we were going. The official was there with the flag doing it in a roundabout direction. And for whatever reason, she went that way. I don't know what made her believe. I mean, all the vehicles before us went left. So maybe her mind was under so much pressure that I don't know what reason made her go like that.
Yeah, and to her benefit and to our benefit, we truly thank her for going the wrong direction. But
you're still the tech for me, Kevin.
I want to, no. I don't.
But why would we thank her for going the wrong direction? That is like you're still saying that if that did not happen, this Mexican would have won.
It is possible. Take for example, if a wheel or something. But that's not my point. My point is that let's look at the race on a whole. Let's dissect the race on a whole. And I was looking and collating all the interviews from all of the participants. I heard the Mexican say that her other companion that came with her had not been training for months. I don't know if you heard that being said as well. And so even though she's a very solid rider, she's probably not in the best shape that she ought to have been. And then I heard the Belizean rider, who's a past champion, I believe her name is Lovell, was saying Thompson, thank you, was saying that she really had not been prepared for the race. She had really wanted to retire. And so she had just said, you know what, I'm going to come in, grab a few station prizes, and sit back. And then she looked at the race and said, but this is here for the taking. And she came in. My question was, when you look at the competitiveness of the race, factoring those two things in, was it as difficult? Because we had somebody who had not trained for several months, and we had somebody else who said, listen, I wasn't in the best position that I could have been myself, and still ranked in the top.
All your questions seem to want to be taken away from my win. We have people who are unprepared. We have people who are going the wrong way. So, okay, Kaya, this is the reason why you won this race.
No, I'm sure you're a secure person. I'm sure you don't have.
Yes, I am. But I'm saying all your questions seem to be wanting to taking away from my championship. I can't speak for others people's preparation and others people interview and what they do before, during, or after a race. I can speak for myself. If you want to ask me how was my preparation and what it was, I can answer that. If you want to ask me how was the race for me and what it was for me, I can answer that. But for asking me about other people's preparation and opinions, then this will be my response.
Okay, let's set that aside for the time being then. Let me ask you, Kaya, in terms of cycling in Belize, there is always this huge political cloud over the sport in terms of either administration, in terms of the overall governance of cycling and that sort of stuff. How much does this play into the participation of women in cycling and, of course, the overall preparation for the race? Because this is a cross-country event. In my opinion, it should deserve the same amount of coverage and prestige that is given to the overall Holy Saturday Cross Country Classic. But that's not the case. There's a huge disparity in terms of the coverage and the turnout and all of that stuff. Do you believe that perhaps this has to do with the politics of the sport?
Well, not to take away anything from the Holy Saturday Cross Country event, but it was there first and it is the 91st running. The
Compared
female
to the 30th,
race,
right?
you know, it's only the 30th, and yes, it has been there for lesser years. However, if there was an effort by the federation to make it just as big, then it would probably be. But as you said, there's always a political cloud over things, and maybe just having it be a female race, maybe that's the reason why it's of lesser importance.
In terms of, you've outlined your participation in this race, and it's been over, I think you said 10? It's the 10th time you participated in the race. What do you see as the evolution of the race? It is half of what the male race is in terms of the route. It's only from there. Do you see the need to expand it to be the same distance as the male
We already have
circuit?
minimal participation. If the miles were to increase, we would have next to none. Women don't generally do the same amount of miles as men. However, going back to Isana's question about evolution of getting more female involved, we definitely have to start from a novice level. Having races for female, so let's say for example, you're 15 years old, you want to be a cyclist, you want to ride a race. You're going to start on the first day of the year, you're going to have to line up for the New Year's Day Classic. You're going to have to complete the 50 miles alongside veteran cyclists that have been doing these things for, like myself, you know, 8 consecutive years. How does that play on you mentally, knowing that that is what you're going to be lining up against? It's like a losing battle. So now having novice races, having these women doing half the distance or quarter the distance, building them up to the actual thing, is the way that I see is the best way to get more women involved in actual road racing.
That is interesting. Because I think on a whole, and this is perhaps a general perception that we have, is that cycling is a male-dominated race, and so people only come out for New Year's Day, Holy Saturday, perhaps the Valentine's Classic as well, and we're not giving it the kind of attention that would allow for a buy-in from other females to want to be part of the sport. Aside from the fact that it's very costly.
As a male, it's easier for you if you want to be a cyclist, because you have the youth and the junior category that you can participate in, that is a separate race aside from the elite category. But as a female, because the numbers are so small, if you want to race, it's right into the elite category, and you do the same amount of miles, you know, as opposed to being a male and you know, doing lesser miles before you turn 18 and eventually move up.
But the benefits are that the pool is smaller. So you're competing not against 100 and odd riders.
At 13 years old, can you compete against a 29-year-old at
with
74 miles?
The belt? Yeah,
No.
yeah, that's tough.
That's my point.
But you have less people that you're going up against. And there's no restriction on you in terms of, let's say, for example, I'm a 13-year-old, and I decide this is what I want to do. My development path, I can go like you have done, to go internationally, get my feet wet. By the time I'm 15,
you really?
If you have the proper sponsorship, you don't think it's possible?
With school and all that?
If you have the proper sponsorship, you don't think it's possible?
No, I don't.
Don't? Okay.
Seems a bit unrealistic,
It does.
romantic almost, right?
It does.
Your summers and your mornings, it's still not possible.
I personally don't see it, but...
In high school, you have CXCs, Kev, so I think that consumes way more time than riding. So let me ask you this, Kaya, and this is a burning question, and it's a digression from your win and your reason for being here to discuss the female aspect of cycling. But I'm almost certain that you were following along with what was taking place over the course of the weekend as well, insofar as the Holy Saturday cross country. What were your initial thoughts, seeing the results and the way how things played out?
I met those guys back in February, the winners I'm talking about, when we went to the Tour por La Paz in Guatemala City. And I've known Julio for a while, but I met Ronnie and Jose just then, and these guys aren't the best riders on their team, Team Optica Deluxe. They're not the go-to guys per se. So I'm listening to the cries that they were professional cyclists and they were whatever else is being said, and I'm just sitting back and listening, paying attention.
Mm-hmm. So if you've pointed out the fact that these aren't the brightest or the shining stars on their respective teams, but they're able to come to Belize and perform so exceptionally, does that speak to our state of readiness or how seriously we take the sport? That's a year-to-year thing. But
we have teams of 8 and 9 guys here in Belize. And all these teams, they have in-house fighting. And even if they have a plan A in their meeting saying, okay, on Holy Saturday we're riding for Risani, Kevin will decide, I'm not riding for Risani. I've trained just as well as Risani, I want to win too. And this is the in-house fighting we have on teams. Teams they don't come together to work for that one leader to win the race. So we're divided and then we're cut down to 2 and 3 people. So 2 and 3 people on a team versus 3 Guatemalans, we're going to lose. But if we have our 8 or 9 guys on a team united for one leader against the 3 Guatemalans, we'll definitely beat them.
Okay, stick a pin. Cycling, as far as I know, and I'm not an enthusiast per se, it's just the basics that I know here. Cycling, as far as I know, is an individual outcome, correct? One man crosses the line, not necessarily a team. He probably represents a team, but it's one individual. So that if it's 4 or 5 of us that comprise a team, what stops me, or what should stop me, from having the same ambition as Kevin or yourself to want to win?
Good question, and that is where the buck stops. Looking at cycling internationally, for example, let's look at the Tour de France, Team Sky. Chris Froome is the leader of the team. Everybody rides for Chris Froome, but why these guys have an incentive? They are being paid. If Chris wins the race that they ride for him for, they get an even bigger incentive. In Belize, it's not like that. You ride for your guy, he wins, and when your guy gives the interview, he doesn't even say thank you. So it's hard. It's really hard.
I couldn't be a cyclist. I can't spend $20,000 on a bike to begin with and win a race that is, the prize is way less than what I've invested in the bike itself, and then have to deal with all the politics of personalities and all the other stuff.
In Belize, if we were to ride because of what we receive from riding, none of us would be cycling. All of us would be fat and out of shape.
The question was posed as to whether or not we should close the race, both male and female, to close it to only Belizeans. What is your response?
I don't believe we should. I believe the race should be opened to any cyclist who does not possess a professional license. I have always said this. Belizeans are more patriotic on Holy Saturday than they are in the month of September. The race has had a cultural setting that locals just want Belizeans to win. I mean, it's the biggest cycling race of the year. Of course, you want one of your local boys to win. But we have to understand all the odds. We have to understand everything that we're up against. I would be happy if a Belizean won, yes. You know, I live here, I train with them, I see the work that they put in. Yes, I would be happy to share in that they have won. But at the same time, we have a team of 4 Americans on the screen right now, Team Classic Cycling, Chris Harkey and his guys. These 4 guys work together for one goal. We have the 3 Guatemalans who came, Team Optica Deluxe. These 3 guys work together for one goal. And then we have a team like the Giselle of 8, a team of like Smart of 7, a team of Westrock 8 or 9 guys. And they're not working together for one goal. Everybody wants the glory.
It's ego.
So how are we going to have a Belizean win if we don't even understand how divided our teams are? People are saying Belizeans should work together against the foreigners, but if we can't work together when we have on the same jersey, why will we work together when we have on different jerseys?
Is this the biggest takeaway for you, having observed this outcome?
People are saying that the federation have allowed professionals to come and ride the race. But looking at cars and whatnot, the only professionals that really rode the race on Holy Saturday were Justin and Corey Williams. They were the top guys on paper for that race, and they're Belizeans American. I mean, on the starting list this year, they were registered as, or it had USA beside their name and not BIZ as it usually does. So I don't know, you know, what went on there, but on paper, those guys were the top guns in the race.
All right, let's go back to the initial conversation now. We've segued long enough and digressed to that corner. What's next for you? I mean, this is your third victory. I believe that there's a certain ceiling in cycling where, you know, you can't really go beyond a certain point, particularly if you're not racing as a professional. What's next for Kaya Cattouse?
We were just talking about this just recently. In Belize, you can win all the classics, and after that, there's nothing more to want to aim for. What do you then do? Try to win back-to-back, try to break records. I try to get internationally as much as I can. Last year, for the first time, I raced in the US. This year, I'll be going again to the Intelligentsia Cup in Chicago. This will be my second appearance in that race. Belize has qualified 2 spots to the Pan American Championships in Peru, in Lima, Peru, sometime in August of this year. And hopefully the federation gets everything together so that we can go to that. So I have the Road Championships coming up next, followed by the race in USA and then Peru.
Nice. Is there any parting word you'd want to share with other female cyclists or other athletes on a whole who are engaged in the sport of cycling?
Definitely, but before I do that, I need to make special mention of the people who make Kaya Cattouse the champion that she is. I definitely need to say a big thank you to my sponsor, David Banner, who has taken me fully under his wings this year and has done everything possible financially for me to be at the level where I'm at. My coach, Bill Elliston, my parents, Vinley, the rest of my family, my friends, my fans, everybody who supports me, you know. Riding the race is just what people see, but there are a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of preparation that needs to get put into that. For the upcoming female cyclists and male cyclists, the high school cycling series starts on Thursday, next week Thursday, and it will continue every Thursday in the month of May at the Marion Jones Sporting Complex. So invitations have already went out to all the schools. I've already received some registration forms, but for those schools who have not yet registered, please ensure to get that in this year. We have had up to 57 female participants in such an event, and this is just high schools within Belize City. So the female interest is there, Isani. It's just for us to finish grooming them, you know, to become actual cyclists.
All right. Thanks for being on the set with us this morning to discuss everything cycling. And I know we went a little bit, you know, a little farther than we ought to have gone in terms of asking your opinion on Saturday, but all is well in cycling. Thanks again for having joined us, and best of luck with your future endeavors.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick commercial break at this point, and when we come back, it's to wrap up our show this morning.